The other thing that was true was that although the architecture had community support in a kind of public relations sense, it didn't have much community support in the financial sense. So the two most important meetings for me in the early years of my deanship were one with Gary Herberger, out of which came the main support group for the college, Council for Design Excellence. And the other was a meeting with Terry Goddard, who was the mayor of Phoenix. Now, Roger had done a really good job in preparing the ground with Terry Goddard. But 1988, there was a bond issue in Phoenix, and significant sums of money were made available to provide cultural facilities in Phoenix. This is very much Terry Goddard's doing. And I went to an unveiling of a piece of public art somewhere and met Terry and congratulated him on the bond issue. And then I said, "And Terry, how are you going to make sure that money's well spent?" And he said, "You got any ideas?" And I said, "Yes, when I was in Cincinnati, I was a member of the City of Cincinnati's Design Review Board. And I think it would be marvelous if we could have something like that here in Phoenix." And so he said, "Well, find out more about it and let me know." The net result of that was that the city formed a Central City Architecture Review panel, always headed very wisely by a local businessman, but I was the continuing deputy head of that throughout my deanship. And we were able to get some pretty good buildings, including the Burton Bar Library and the History Building, and you know, some important cultural facilities. The Phoenix Art Museum had a significant expansion. The Science Center was built, and so on. And that was a little parallel to another very important thing that happened when I arrived here, which was I got a letter from Russ Nelson. And he said, "Oh, by the way, one of your jobs as dean of this college is going to be to chair the university's Design Review Board," which later on became the Public Art and Design Review Board. And so throughout my deanship, I chaired that too. And that put the school in a position to influence not only what happened on the campus, but what happened in the city. And that made a huge difference to our morale and to the respect that we had and so on within the community. Gary Herberger, for the benefit of your viewers, the name's probably very familiar, but Gary Herberger is a member of the Herberger family. Bob Herberger, his father, was a man from the Midwest who used to take his winter holidays here. And as a kind of hobby, he accumulated land. Went out and bought land. A lot of the land that he bought turned out to be in and around Scottsdale Airport and became extremely valuable. So Bob became a multimillionaire. Gary was an architect and had studied with Frank Lloyd Wright and had worked in architectural offices in the Valley. But then he gradually joined his father in helping to manage this now increasingly valuable land resource that they had. And he was appropriately and justifiably much admired in the development community here in the Valley. The Herberger family has done an awful lot of good in the Valley here. But he had a lot of admirers amongst the developers, and a lot of those developers joined him in supporting the college. And so we had about $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year to play with. And one of the things that's important about money is that it's all very well to go out and get a big lump of money to put in an endowment, but it doesn't do much good at 4%. You've got to have money to spend as well. And so one of the real assets that I had as a dean is that I was given complete autonomy in handling the money from the Council for Design Excellence. And so a faculty member could come into my office with a good idea and walk out with a commitment for some money to support that idea, and I didn't have to talk to anybody else about that.
Mm-hmm.